So nobody likes a hypocrite, well, unless you are one. So how can you tell if someone really is who they say they are? Jesus said, beware of fakes. Good morning and welcome to 755 Live. For about 5 minutes, you'll hear all about easy to remember soundbite versions of what Jesus said. And the point is to help you experience life to the fullest the Jesus way. Today's Jesus Said comes from Matthew 7, verses 15 through 20, and we'll be reading today from the NLT translation, where Jesus said, beware of false prophets who come disguised as harmless sheep, but are really vicious wolves. You can identify them by their fruit, that is, by the way they act. Can you pick grapes from thorn bushes or figs from thistles? A good tree produces good fruit, and a bad tree produces bad fruit. A good tree can't produce bad fruit, and a bad tree can't produce good fruit. So every tree that does not produce good fruit is chopped down and thrown into the fire. Yes, just as you can identify a tree by its fruit, so you can identify people by their actions. And the soundbite version of all that today is that Jesus said, beware of fakes. One of the points that he's making here in context is that words aren't enough. A few verses before this in Matthew 7:14, Jesus is talking about the gateway to life is very narrow and the road is difficult, and only a few find it. And then later on, in verses 21 through 23 of Matthew 7, Jesus is talking about how everyone who calls out to him, Lord, Lord, won't enter the kingdom of heaven. Only those who actually do the will of the Father. And it's kind of scary. I mean, especially when you consider that Jesus was talking about, those that don't bear the right kind of fruit are chopped down. And Jesus is saying later on in Matthew 7 that on Judgment Day, many are going to say, well, Lord, we prophesied in your name. We cast out demons in your name and performed many miracles in your name. And he's going to say, get away from me, you workers of iniquity, you who break God's law. You see, it's not what you say that makes you a Jesus follower. It's actually the following part. It's easier to talk the talk than walk the walk. And we need to be careful. Good words and profound teaching and catchy phrases aren't enough. What about actions? Where's the fruit? That kind of fruit that we should ask about who we're listening to, because Jesus was talking about false prophets here. Are they humble? Are they kind? Are they compassionate? Do they love their enemies? Are they concerned for the poor, the needy, the sick, and the hurting? You see, it's about transformation, not just information. The good news, yes, it's great info, but it is the kind of information that leads to transformation. A changed heart not only changes your actions, but even your motives and intentions. And you should be careful about who you're listening to. You can tell what kind of tree it is by its fruit, and you can identify people by their actions. You can't do the right thing the wrong way. Bitterness, judgment, pride, selfishness, you can't hide those things with words. Look for the kind of fruit that looks and sounds like Jesus. So who are these false prophets today? Well, the Apostle Paul warned his protege, his disciple, Timothy, in 2 Timothy 4:3. He said that for a time is coming when people will no longer listen to sound and wholesome teaching. They will follow their own desires and look for teachers who will tell them whatever their itching ears want to hear. We need to be careful who we're listening to. You need to be careful who you are listening to. Before you share that quote, that sermon clip, that meme, before you read that book, before you attach yourself to some ideology, does the fruit of their lives look like the commands of Jesus? Because Jesus said, beware of fakes. How can you put that into action today? Thank you so much for listening. If this is meaningful to you, it really means a lot to me if you like it, if you share it, if you comment. I really appreciate you. I hope that you have an amazing day, and I hope this time together has helped you live life to the fullest the Jesus way. And remember, follow Jesus today. Love first.